What's up and welcome back to my channel. It's JVceo. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. That's it, subscribe or subscribe. Some people tell me that I struggle to say S. Subscribe. Subscribe. It sounds like I'm saying subscribe. But anyways, you know what I mean. Like, comment, and subscribe. Anyways, today's video, right, I'm quite excited about it. Following up from last video, where I talked about going from a 9 to 5 to making well over 100 grand in a month, right? I'm not going to give you the specific numbers, you know, some things got to be kept offline. And by the way, I ain't got the money. The money is still in my trade account, right? So don't ask me for nothing. But anyways, right, today's video, I want to dissect, in my own understanding and opinion, and talk about whether it's possible for a normal man like me. Remember, I don't claim to be a trading expert. Can you make £1 million in 1 year trading? I've done well over 100 in 3 weeks. In fact, I think I've done that because in the third week of January, I actually didn't really do much. I think I only done like 15, 20 or so. I say not much, but compared to the other weeks. So I only done that in literally 2 weeks, the 2 weeks of January. So is it possible to make £1 million throughout the year? First things first, let's talk about why the stock market is so hot. So at the moment, the US have just been pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping. And people like me are here to take it, receive it with open arms, right? They keep doing the stimulus package. In case you don't know what that is, obviously to help with coronavirus, I think they gave, the last one was like 1,600. The next one is even worse. The next one is rumored to be around 1.9 trillion. And let's be honest, that's a huge stock market bubble at the moment. The question is, when is it going to burst? Excuse me. So the question is, when is it going to burst? Just reading reports and stuff, people are estimating that, bro, the stock market bubble isn't even close to bursting, which is great for people like me because we can go in it and we can make money in it. Because obviously it's more volatile. It's more, in a sense, some stocks are literally simply on an upward trajectory. You look at ALPP, for example, went up over 7,500%. That's like 75 times. Over 7,500% in the space of 12 months. Let's actually calculate that, right? That means if you had invested, I think it's easy to calculate. If you had invested £1,000 at the start of last year, you'd have had £75,000. If you had invested £10,000, you'd have had £750,000. That is mind-boggling numbers, right? And there are rumours that this year would even be worse, and the bubble is even going to be a lot bigger, which I'm not complaining about. So that's my first argument, in the sense of it is possible, in my opinion, to make £1 million, but obviously it depends on your investment pot. If you're investing with, you know, £2,000, it's a bit more far-fetched, let's be honest. And not everyone is going to stumble onto an ALPP, right? However, if you're investing with a sizable amount, I think it's very, very possible, 100%. So we're waiting on news on the next stimulus. I think it should be coming by around March. This is where as well, if you're trading, if you're into trading, if you're into the stock market, try as much as possible to stay with the news. Like I always say, I'm not a stock guy, but I try and stay with the news as possible. I try and stay with the news as much as possible. An example being when they had the Senate election, I made a good amount of money from that based on marijuana stocks because I was able to put 1 and 2 together. So that's the first point, right? It is possible in that regard, simply because there's a bubble. I don't think this will continue. I don't think this will be the case next year. If I'm honest with you, could I have done this in any other year in terms of being able to make over 100 grand trading on the stock market, considering I'm not an expert? If I'm giving my honest opinion, no. But it's presented itself. I always say recession, I actually put this up the other day, a few weeks back. Recession is simply a transfer of wealth from one person to another. You know, people think recession is a worldwide struggle. It's not. You know, it's a transfer of wealth, and I'm here to receive it. Right. So that's point number 1 done. Before we go on to point number 2, I'm gonna break down a few things. Like I said in the previous video, I've actually been trading for over 5 years on and off. But recently I took it a lot more seriously because I realized, you know what? During every recession, that's when the millions are made on the stock market. And away from that, you have to look for gradual growth in terms of, you know, the increment of your trading pot. And I thought, hold on, if I'm able to just go ham over the next however many months, and I accumulated, let's say, you know, remember I've got other businesses on the side that do pretty well, right? Darn good, actually. But I thought if I was able to accumulate, let's say, £500,000, £1 million off the stock market, by the time the bubble is coming to an end, if I'm then able to just calmly invest in safer stocks, not the penny stocks, cruising, making 10%, 20% a month on 300 grand, on £500,000, on $1 million, that's life-changing sums, if that makes any sense. Imagine just getting an added 30,000 in addition to whatever you make now. Whether you make 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, and you just get an added £30,000 is life-changing. And that's why I thought, you know what, definitely this is the time to go hard on the stock market due to the bubble. It becomes easier. I'll be honest, it becomes easier to make money in the stock market right now. But be very careful. Keep up with the news so you know when the market is about to just burst. Because when it bursts, a lot of people get caught with their pants down. So like Warren Buffett says, I think it's Warren Buffett, I think something along the lines of, you only know everyone seems like an expert until when the tides are out, and then you see the people swimming with their shorts down. Something along those lines anyways. Anyways, I can't remember the quote. But you know what I mean, right? Cool. Now on to the second or third point, whatever we're in or on, compounding. If you haven't read this book, I need to actually buy it again because it's not in my list right there. If you haven't read this book, make sure you go and purchase this book right now. Compound Effect, or The Compound Effect, I think it's called. I can't remember who wrote the book. I read a few chapters and then I wasn't a reader back then, so I came off it. But I'm going to buy the book again and I'm going to read it. It is a beautiful book. It is honestly a beautiful book. And it shows you how you can take a penny into something great just by compounding. A lot of people want to get to their destination real quick. I don't care about the speed. I just care about the efficiency throughout that process. Am I making the most out of it? Am I compounding? And now let's relate that back to the stock market. I got a fun fact for you. Did you know that, let's use 125,000 because that's what I calculated it on. Did you know that if you had £125,000 in the stock market, in your stock account, and you were able to compound it, right, even not taking huge risk, just making, let's say, 10, 20, 25%, let's use 25%, making 25% a month and compounding it, did you know that at the end of that year, in 12 months, you would have around 1.2, 1.3 million. If you don't believe me, go and do the compounding calculation and it will come back the same thing. So it shows you the power of compounding. So right now, I mean, I've taken 10, 20,000 pounds out of my stock account here and there, but I'm trying to not take nothing out moving forward. So if I'm able to just grow that pot 400, 500, for example, and then I'm compounding, making 10%, 20% a month, and literally not taking out the profit, leaving it all in there. Imagine what I'd have after 12 months. Imagine what I'd have after 18 months, and so on and so forth. So that's one of the reasons why I think it's possible to make $1 million on the market. But now that's dependent on your pot size. If you're not starting with 125,000 and compounding at 25%, if you're starting with a smaller sum, then of course you have to take bigger risk to try and get to 125,000 and then start compounding. But that's that. So that's why I think it's possible to make £1 million on the stock market. Now on to the third thing. I think, you know, if you're able to get yourself into the right circle, potentially networks. I've got a good network of some good stock guys around me. So I never claim to be a stock expert. I know a good amount of stocks. I find stocks on my own, but also have some good people around me and we share knowledge. You know, and if you're able to have that and you have a sizable pot, I genuinely believe, depending on your sort of risk ratio, I genuinely believe that you're able to make £1 million on the stock market. And now finally, and to wrap up this video, the last point I'll talk about is the psychology of trading, or the psychology of money. Trading is more emotional than it is physical. People talk about, you know, two different types of trading, fundamental and technical. I would add a third part, which is emotional, right? Because a lot of people don't have the emotions or the emotional control to be in control of the stock market. And if you ain't emotionally strong enough, there is no way you're making a significant amount of money. If you're one of those that can only take the wins, or when the win's there, you're good, but when you're losing, you're sour-faced and you want to crawl into bed, go under your duvet and hide away, you can't make £1 million off the stock market. So, and also, the psychology of trading is very important, because then you make money. Let's say you get 100% play. Don't get greedy. Lock in some profits. Don't think you're the guru now. Lock in some profits and then potentially have some money there to reinvest if it ever dips. That way you have even more stocks or more shares. You know, so I think the psychology of trading is probably the biggest one, because the psychology of trading can either make you $1 million or can actually take your account back down to zero, depending on your psychology. It's not just about being motivated. It's about having your emotions in check, not trading emotionally, being able to control your risk and not chasing after a loss, all that sort of stuff. Which, if I'm honest with you, is part of the reason why I stopped trading in the first place, because my emotions weren't right. I was always chasing a loss and then I'd end up losing more. You know, and that's me just being transparent. And also, I wasn't sleeping well, and so on and so forth. The stock market literally consumed my life. So that's that anyways. I hope you enjoyed this video. It will be interesting to see what I finish on at the end of the year. I definitely keep you guys updated, because this stock stuff for me is fun. It's a bit of extra income on the side. I say a bit, but I mean, my business do well anyway, so I'm not overly fussed about the stock market. But who says you can't make over 100 grand in a month? You know, I'm shooting this video again at the end of January. You're probably going to get it towards the end of February, because I got a schedule, put a small edit at the start to say, right, this is what we done in February. So I can sort of keep you guys updated. But definitely, if you want to do it, you can. You can make £1 million off the stock market in a year. It might not be this year. It might be next year. You just have to build up your pot to a place where if you're compounding 25% a month, you can actually get to well over $1 million. Hope you enjoyed the video. Blessings. Stay safe. Until next time, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. All right. Have a good evening.